see the change. So I'm going to record the video right now, starting at this point. The screen, oh my, what's going on over here? Well, it's like 8-bit pixelization going on. All right, let's see here. Nothing here. No. All right. I'll work with whatever I can. Okay. So change is a real thing, right? So we talked about this, and that change is hard. Okay. How many of you have wanted to lose weight, or I want to take up a new hobby? I want to read more books. I want to go traveling. I want to do something. And it's hard to change because you're just so set into your lifestyle right now. It's hard to kind of transition to change. Now imagine you're trying to convince other people to change. Excuse me, you're the hero of your own story. So it's hard for you to change. And now you've got in an organization, convince other people to change because you're the leader. Right? So we have a new vision. How do you do that? We talked about it very briefly yesterday that you want to promote change and improve the vision, improve the current business model, and enhance people, but they don't necessarily want to change. Like, have you ever tried to develop somebody before in an organization, in a sorority, in a fraternity, in a group, in whatever, some sort of organization, and they don't want to do it. They just have no desire to. And you're tasked with doing it and making that person better. And there's just no desire. So do you force them? Do you manipulate them? Coercion, whatever it might be? Probably not, right? You just got to find a way to facilitate that change. And there's 3 different ways of doing this. Last night I finished these slides and I put together a 4th way. So there's 4 different methods on how to go about doing change. So we started yesterday with talking about the heart of change and these ideas of how to get people to change. This is plain vanilla. This is John Kotter. This is like 25 years old. These ideas that are here, right? So none of this is new. And some of you guys will see this. And as we start getting further into this and other theorists, you'll start seeing this makes a lot more sense and it gets modernized. So we start transitioning and making it a little bit more current to today's standards. So we talked about increasing urgency, letting people know, hey, you are Franklin College. Franklin College is success based on the students and the faculty that work here. It is the relationships between us that continue to get people to grow. How do we make Franklin College better? Well, we want to make it better that we can withstand the challenges of a pandemic. We can withstand the challenges of social dilemma. We want to be in the front of the curve for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We want to be here to help you with sustainability. We want you to know what that is. We want you to be better than who you were when you first came in. No matter how embarrassing it is to have all of us applaud you when you walk by on that reception line, right? At the beginning of the semester, first semester. There's a degree of urgency that we need to do this and we need to do it now. Right? So there's maintain that feeling of urgency. And second, build that guiding team. We talked about emotion and having emotion time there. And part of that building a guiding team is working with people who can incite that emotion to kind of get that people to feel that need for change. If we stay the same as to where we are now, we're going to fail. And I've even heard conversations at the college that if we keep doing things at the college the way we do, then we will fail in 10 years. We just don't do anything that's really new and innovative. We give you opportunities, but still, like, what is the next thing that the college can do to compete against Purdue, to compete against IUPUI, to compete against Butler? And we've got to figure out what that thing is. So we need to do that now, or we won't be here 10 years from now. And most of you will graduate. You all will graduate, and your degree won't mean anything if the school's not here anymore. So for the longevity of that case, we want you to survive. We want you to persist and say, I'm proud of Franklin College. And let's be honest, the college is here so they can tap you later after you graduate as an alumni and saying, can you donate? We could use the help, right? So there's that sense of urgency and building that guiding team, people who believe in that change. We call these people influencers. These are people that you just gravitate to. Most people gravitate to. They just have that thing about them that I enjoy being around them. And maybe you're that influencer. Maybe you're that person that people just love coming up to and talking to. So if the influencers can believe in that change and have an emotional investment in that change, they in turn will influence you to have that as well. It doesn't work if it's at the executive level. Okay, if the executives say you need to change because here's why, and let me share with you why we need to change, and let me show you why we need to change, doesn't work. The executive level, people look at the executive level with suspicion anyway, particularly if you've been through multiple iterations of change and none of them have really stuck. So it just kind of is the way that it is. So make sure that when you're building that guiding team, you're building it through executives and through people on the lower levels and people in middle management everywhere, that they're all building up to that idea of this guiding team. And these are true believers, to use a Stan Lee phrase. right? These are people that really believe that the change can stick. All right. Number three is getting the vision right. We talked about this. Also making it about getting that idea, that vision. Make it easy so that people can see it and they can move toward it and they can think about it on their own. If it's easy, like we said before, like eliminating childhood hunger, it's easy to do. What do you need to do to get there? You don't need permission from other people to get initiatives done. If it's toward that vision of eliminating child hunger, it's going to be approved anyway. So that idea of making that vision palatable, making it understandable, again, getting that emotional impact involved and making it so it's easy to understand. And then fourth, we talked about communicating for buy-in. We talked about weigh in for buy-in. In this case, hearing people's stories, people's tragedies, people's challenges, and making their way through so that they can succeed. I had a hard time with this at one point. You should see my situation. I was in a natural disaster. We didn't have any medication. I have high blood pressure. I felt heart palpitations all the time, the anxiety. Where are we going to live? Where are our clothes? Where are our animals, etc. And boy, it would have been a huge help to have medication. Thank goodness somebody like Lily stepped in and was able to provide medication for me for free after my experience with a hurricane. And you hear that and you think, oh, wow, I want to get involved in that too. I want to be able to help other people that are in need like that. Because what happens if that's me? And where do I get from that? How do I get to that point where I can see that? How do I participate? How do I help? How do I donate? How do I do whatever? And that idea of communicating. Now, notice, I have to sometimes forget, this is not a business class. In marketing, we talk about telling stories. So we talk about the 4 Ps for those who've had marketing in high school or in college. We talk about the product and promotion, the price and the place and things to do. But really, what convinces people to buy something? It's the humor on TV. It's the sudden dramatic cliffhanger, even with Geico commercials. Like, where am I going with this? Or where does this continue? And part of it is this: how do I convince the customer to buy something? But nothing is quite as effective as a story. So when you hear a story, you hear someone's story, especially a story for you. And here's the crazy part. Let me just step aside here for a moment. In story branding for marketing, the story is, I may have said this here before, the customer is the hero. And so you have a hero, and the hero has a challenge. They need to overcome that challenge. And they meet a guide who's a parent or a mentor or someone like that, who leads them on their way down the path so they can go toward this, overcoming this challenge. They have a plan, and then they have to execute on that plan. And in doing so, they can overcome a failure or make a great success. Now, think about any movie in your life that you enjoy. That's the same formula. There's a hero that has a problem, they have to overcome something, and then do that. Even down to the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy somehow is now not in Kansas anymore. She's in some place that comes to have color, right? And now she's needs to get to her way home. So she meets the Good Witch, who leads her through Munchkin Land, and then eventually will find her with followers who will be with her, who will encourage her and help her overcome the evil, wicked witch of the West, which is the challenge, so she can get back home. But she's always had the power to get home, even without fighting the witch, and manages to overcome a failure, gets back home, and has success, sees family again, right? Every problem is based on that. And the crux of this is that no matter what you're talking about in communicating, stories work. So hearing people's stories really makes a big relevant difference. So knowing those stories, and again, getting that feeling of emotion, not about thinking, it's about feeling. Hearing those stories and thinking, oh, wow, I feel badly for that person. Or, wow, I wish I was that person. Or, yeah, we do need more heroes. Look at what these heroes do when they teach during a pandemic, or work at a hospital, or work at a daycare, or work at a living assistance home. These are heroes. And really, we're in November of 2020. We're all heroes at this point, right? We've all gotten some level of experience to get through this challenge and some of the challenges we have. And I still have my bet out for alien encounter in December. Eventually, extraterrestrials will somehow be involved with Earth just to introduce themselves in December. But that's just me, and a story for another day. Number 5, empower people. Now, what does that mean? Doesn't it feel good to be empowered? Empowered is getting more power for yourself, right? Kind of. Empower people just means the first 2 words on the slide, removing barriers. It means don't go to people for signatures. We don't need signatures anymore. I trust you that you're going to do the right thing. You're going to work toward this vision if you're sold into it. Remove these barriers, remove the red tape, the structure that we have, right? So do what you have to do to get there. Here's how I empower my students, my advisees at Franklin College. This is what I do. And some people hate it and some people love it. I'm going to approve all of you to register for spring. Come see me in the next 3 weeks if you need any registration. I'm here for you. I'm even willing to meet with you at 9 o'clock at night. Just let me know. We'll Zoom, we'll have a call. Let me know what you need. And some students love it. And they say, oh my goodness, I'm just going to register myself. And that's fine. And you have permission to do it. And some students hate it. They want exactly the classes that I need. And some students are just unsure. Hey, if I give you my list of classes I'm going to register for, can you look at them and make sure they're okay? Yeah, sure. But that's empowering. It's removing that barrier of you having to meet with me at some point in the office. So we can just sit down, we can talk about it on Zoom. It can be as formal or as informal as you want. That's empowering people. You registering, being able to register without having to worry about the financial commitment, right? So the money's coming, it's just not there yet, but eventually it will be. I'm going to register anyway. That would be empowering. That would be removing an obstacle, right? The way you typically do things. Not having to get people's signatures for joining a new class, right? Can I take this class currently with this class? Do I have to take this prerequisite before I take this one? Can I just sign off on that? I mean, can you, I'll bring the paper to your office. Can you sign? No, just send me an email. I'll forward it to the registrar. That's it. That's empowering to me and to the student, right? That's getting rid of more obstacles. And that's what empowering is. It's saying, I trust you. You're going to be okay with this. We're going to remove obstacles so that you can go ahead and do what you need to do toward the vision. The more autonomy people have, the more people are willing to participate in that vision. That's what this means. Number 6, creating short-term wins. Again, those stories. What are things people are doing that are working towards a vision? Let me just recount that. Right? Here's a story of somebody who wanted to have better customer service. Let me share with you what they're doing. Southwest took an initiative in 2018 to improve customer service. So we were flying out of the Indy airport, which I'm sure many of you have at some point. And you know there's a Southwest wing there, I think on the B side, right? On the A side. They were cutting down their Christmas decorations. So it was the beginning of 2018. 2017, December, Christmas, they had all these Christmas decorations. Like mid-January, they were starting to cut them down and put them away and knock them out. And they had this display of a Christmas tree, an artificial tree, with lights and ornaments. And they had all these boxes that were wrapped up as presents. And they said to my daughters, you look like a bunch of kids that love to open up presents. Could you help us out and just open these up? We'll flatten the boxes for you. There's nothing inside them, but just wrap off the wrapping paper and we'll throw it in the trash bag. So my 3 kids at the time were excited. Of course, I get to open presents. How great is that? So they wrapped up all these wrapping paper and taking things out and putting out the wrapping paper in trash bags and then flattening the boxes for the people. And to say thank you, Southwest gave us $200 towards a flight. That was really awesome. I mean, I wasn't expecting that, but that's wow, that's great, right? And here they just randomly picked us. That improved customer service. That makes us as a family want to be part of Southwest even more. And we fly Southwest pretty exclusively now. Right, so that's part of that improvement of customer service. What a story to convey to other people. So even though we're being nice to people, we're showing people that we care, we're giving people free bags. Let me tell you about a story about a family who was able to unwrap presents and help us achieve our goal, which was get rid of the decorations. And we rewarded them for it. That's improving customer service. And that story is a short-term win. So conveying those short-term wins, calling people by name. Here's what they did. They improved customer service. Here's what they did. They reduced costs at Franklin College so that our students end up having cheaper tuition. Right? Doing those things and sharing those short-term wins are big. They really help us grow. And that's a lot of what this is, right? Helping out in that direction. Number 7, don't let up. Keep going. Keep sharing with people. This is what we have. This is what we need. This is how we survive, right? Keep doing it. You'll see later another theorist will say that it's showing a dashboard. Here are the amount of people who are trying to improve our vision, who are following that pattern, who are initiating change. And the more you, even if you're resistant to change, the more you see people around you getting rewarded for it, the more you're inclined to do it too. It's $5. Gosh, I get $5 for doing something simple like saying hello to people. But you know what? Some people are making $30 a week just by saying hello to customers. Wow. I mean, that'd be nice little cash I can have in my gas, right? So something simple. But don't let up. Keep showing that the initiative is working, that the vision is working, that you're increasing that. And then finally, make changes stick. Make sure that you change the culture, you change the policy so that it enacts the change. This is one of the biggest problems. You get people involved in change, they start to change, they start to develop and transform, and then the culture doesn't change. So you still have to do the old way of doing things. You still have to know the right people. The systems don't change. Well, that's counterintuitive to what we're trying to do. and change our vision. So this is the 8-step process. A lot of this is straightforward. A lot of this is easy. This is stuff that all people probably makes sense, right? Once you change, don't stop it. Just keep doing it, right? And make sure you have the structure in your organization to facilitate that change. It makes sense. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, so again, thinking versus feeling. Make sure you bring up that emotion. Make people feel. Thinking and showing them, here's the data we can save, here's the money we can save. That doesn't do it, right? People are like, oh, that's nice, he has money, right? But it's really about showing why people need matter, why people in the organization matter, why the change matters, having it toward the vision. So connect emotional attributes to vision or solution. And then we talked about facilitating and undermining. Okay, that's one. That's the first theory. The second one, and this one Dr. Shearer loves, and Dr. Freeney, I think, has also used this before, is called It Starts With One. And this is John Stuart Black and Hal Gregers. And they came up with this 3-step process. It's really easy to understand about how change is. And more importantly, why people don't change when they need to. Why do people fail to change when they absolutely have to survive? Like I said, Franklin College needs to find a way to differentiate itself, or it won't be here long. Because more and more people are going online. The pandemic has forced us to go online anyway. We know it's possible, and yet we demand that you're here in person. So I mean, what's the change? What's the compromise? How do we end up solving this problem? So J.S. Black said, really, there's 3 problems with people that can change it. First, they fail to see why they need to change. And sometimes they see the need to change, but they don't believe that it's real. And so they just stay where they are. And the world moves past them. And in the book, they use the example of Nokia. Remember when Nokia made phones, right? Nokia was one of the best. They were the biggest company in phone making. What happened? Don't you think it would make sense for Nokia to be the smartphone manufacturer? But they're not. What happened? There was a need to move. Apple had come out with an iPhone. Samsung was following closely with the Galaxy. Samsung and Apple had worked together to make the smart technology, and Nokia didn't participate. They said, we're good at what we're doing, thank you, but no thank you, we're going to keep going with our business. And they didn't move to see that innovation that would wipe them out. They still produce phones, but they're number 4 in the world now, right? So it didn't work out. Why didn't they see? What did they see, or what did they not see? Second, failure to move. You see what you need to do, but you don't do anything about it. And we talked about this last time. I don't want to do things that will make me fail, that make me look bad. And then 3, failure to finish. Why don't we finish our change? We try, we start, we get there, we're motivated, we're excited, and then it fizzles out. And why is that? Right? So first, failure to see. Here's an exercise. Everybody, if you guys have it, take out a piece of paper and a pencil. You're not going to get graded for this, so it can be anything. It could be the back of something, it could be whatever. I want to test your drawing skills. For those who are online at home, if you have the ability to grab paper or something, and if not, just think about it in your minds. I think as the social media post says, scream in your heart. Think about it in your minds. We're going to talk about something called mental maps. What is a mental map? What do you think a mental map is?
Connections and like idea destinations you make when you get into a certain topic.
It's the way you see the world. Exactly. It's the way that you perceive a topic and what connections you make and how you see things, etc. So I want you to do a mental map for me right now. I want you to draw yourself, and I want you to draw your surroundings. Now, it doesn't matter how big it is. You could be the United States and where you are in Indiana. It could be this room. It could be on campus. It could be relative to your bedroom if you're living on campus. Draw where you are in your surroundings. However big, however small, however accurate it might be. How many of you drew the stick figure of me? It's not me, but like of yourself. Right. So that's there. So you guys can continue to draw for a couple minutes, but I'll talk over you while you're doing it. And for those of you who are online, if you're not drawing, that's okay. So understand what a mental map is. A mental map is our schema. It's how we see the world. It's how we see things. How do I succeed? Who do I need to interact with? Or at work, what do I need to do to get something done? Right? How do I do that? There's a certain way to do things and a certain way not to do things. What's required, what's prohibited, and what's recommended, right? If you know that phrase. Mental maps are just how we do things. And here's the fascinating thing. Mental maps help us facilitate and process things faster. We see where we are relative to the rest of the world, which is what you're drawing, right? But notice, stop and look at your drawing real quickly. Where are you relative to that drawing? Where are you? Right in the middle. Why is that? Why are you in the, maybe not all of you are in the middle, but why are you in the middle? Why do we often draw ourselves in the middle? Even if we draw Indiana, right? Indiana relative to the United States, we're close to the middle. And we may even offset the map inside of our minds, just we're in the middle. Why are we in the middle? Because we're vain? No, why? Whose story can you control? Yours, that's it, right? So relative, when you draw your mental map, you're in the middle. Even if it's your place of work, even if it's your place of living, even if it's your place of school, wherever it is, you put yourself in the middle. And that's a mental map. And here's the problem with the mental map. You only see what works. And the more success you have, the more you see what works, the more you believe it. This is the way things are done. So for those of you who have had the painful experience of going through the BMV, you know what that's like. This is the way things are done. And I just know that I have to show up and I have to have my registration. I have to have my car, my insurance card, or my driver's license or whatever it is, and then get my work done. And when things don't work out the way they're supposed to, you get kind of upset, which is why I think there's going to be so much tension around this presidential election right now, right? Because it's not the way that I expected it to work. We have a schema, we have a way of perceiving the world. So if that's the case, imagine how I was when I went up to the BMV and I asked to get my license and registration redone because I had just moved to Indiana. And they said, well, what county are you from? And I said, well, I'm from Morgan County. I live in Mooresville. And they said, what township? I'm like, what? Like, what township do you live in? Well, I don't know. I just moved there. I don't know what township because I can't process your information until you can tell me what township you're from. I mean, what kind of craziness is this? But it wasn't necessarily crazy. It was another security protocol for the BMV, but I didn't know it. And so it didn't align with my mental map. Well, heck, if I had known that, I would have looked it up before I got here. So here I am, Fleming on my cell phone, frantically trying to figure out Mooresville, what is the township? And right before when she called someone else's name, I said Brown, because I was able to pull it up. I'm in Brown Township. She's like, okay, that's fine. So she pushed the other person back to the side and I got to finish my business. But that's a mental map. And the problem with mental maps is we often don't grow because we know how to succeed. We know how to do things. So when we see the threat, Nokia, looking at Apple and looking at Samsung, you know what? We know what we're doing. We're fine. Don't worry about that. We're good at what we do. And so we choose not to move. We choose not to see the change. And so we have no reason to move. And so that's part of the problem. That's a mental map exercise. We all do this. How do you succeed at Franklin College? How do you succeed in these classes? How do you balance it all the extracurricular activities and athletics and academic studies that you have to do? You've done it. And so you figured out how to work it. But that's your mental map. If you were to go to another college, let's say UIndy, it would be very different because the professors are different, the culture is different, the organizations are different, the expectations are different. And so you'd have to learn a new mental map. And that's part of the problem with change is that when you switch from one school to another, you've got to accept all those differences. That's part of the problem you see. So the more successful we are, the more we see things as being the way. This is the way, that's the way it works. What you need to do is show the difference in the benefits between the new vision and the old vision. So show people that their mental map doesn't work. So if you were to show your mental map, don't do this. But if you were to show your mental map to somebody else, what does it look like? How does it differ? Because everybody has themselves as the center of that map, right? Indiana and Franklin College, the influence we have is big, but relative to the state of Indiana, it's nothing. Right? We don't have that much influence. I think we're 47th best school in the Midwest or something. 47th, yeah, we made the list, right? But Johnson County, I mean, here, we actually have a big presence. We're very involved in the county, and people respect the college. And so how do you make that better? Well, how do you see your mental map? Are we relative to Indiana? Are we relative to Franklin, to Johnson County? Right? So where does that scope come from? And how do you do things? How do you do things differently? So you can't move forward to the current plan. That's part of that. Now, second is the failure to move. So even when people need to change, they resist. And here's why. We talked about this yesterday. You start down here. Over time, in your experience, you're here. You're a nobody. You don't know how to do your job. Over time, you get more experience. So it's exciting. That's great. You get to know things. People can trust you for this data analysis or the software, for the skill that you have, human resources or accounting, whatever it is. You're dependable, you're reliable, you're accountable, and we like you. And then suddenly I'm being told, hold on, this new thing here, this is the way to go. This is the change. This old thing, you don't need this anymore. We don't need this. It's actually holding us back. You need to do this thing. And we freak out because we don't know what to do. But wait a minute, that means I'm going to look bad doing this new thing. I don't do this new thing. I don't want people to think I'm bad at what I do. I'm actually pretty good at what I do. And so there's a tendency, even though you're here, is to go back up to here. And like I said in Monday's class, this is why we don't learn a new instrument or why we don't take a new language. This is why when we hear, wait a minute, hold on, Franklin College, I have to take a year of foreign language studies. I'm not going to use this stuff. Why do I have to do this? And I don't know about you guys, but I know my advisees complain about Spanish 110 and 111 a lot. I don't want to do this. The teacher's horrible. I can't believe I have to do this stuff. When am I ever going to need this? And I've heard this with Math 131 and Math 224 and other things too, other classes too. So, oh my goodness, why do I have to do this? And not everybody's that way, but it's partly this. It's because there's no value in me learning a foreign language. I'm not going to use it next week. I'm not going to use it next year. I'm doing it because I have to get my degree. That's all that matters, so I can get a job, so I can get paid. And so there's no value in it. And by the way, it's something new that I know I'm going to be horrible at. I can't speak Spanish, right? I remember being in a class when I taught at Butler and actually had Spanish-speaking natives, regardless of what country they're from. And that was your final exam. You had to carry a conversation with them. Can you imagine that being the final exam for Spanish 210 or Spanish 211? Just having a full conversation. And people would probably freak out over that. That's the way that it was. And this is the problem with failure to move. People don't want to move. Learning a new language or new instrument, new skill, working with new people, reading under a new boss. I don't want to do this. It's changing the way that things were. And it was a lot easier doing things the way they were because I got used to it. I was here at some point and I got better, right? So here's the failure to move. I don't want to move. I don't want to do these things. So how do you do this? First, show the new way clearly. We talked about clarity in the past, right? Clarity of vision, clarity of plan. Here's what you need to do for the new vision. Here's how you need to improve customer service. Here's how we reduce costs at Franklin College. Here's how you can participate and be more helpful to Johnson County. We want to extend our presence. Capabilities. What are the capabilities for the new thing? So what is in that box? What is the lightning bolt? What are the new things that you need to do? What's the right thing to do? Some of you asked me during the Strengths Finder, hey, what's the rubric? And I thought I already sent that to you. Right? 3 questions in bold. And then some people said, no. Like, what are the questions? Like, what do you want us to write? What's the rubric? Well, that's that question. That's that clarity. What are the capabilities to do this new thing that I've never done before? And I wanted to give you autonomy, but some people were very, I mean, two people were very specific about what exactly do I need to write. And so I gave it to you. And then some of you said, whoa, hold on a second. I already wrote mine. Do I have to do it over again with these new rubric items? No, not at all. Right? All I want was just the general bold outlines. You know, what is your strengths and how they work together? Describe an experience where you use your strengths and compare them to how some of the personality tests are done. Right? But those capabilities, this is exactly what you need to do for the new thing. And then finally, what are the rewards? What's the positive consequences? If we improve our customer service, if we improve our presence in Johnson County with Franklin College, if we improve and we eliminate childhood hunger, what's the positive? What's the good thing? Hopefully, the childhood hunger one makes sense, right? You kind of know what's going to happen if you can improve that. People won't go to bed hungry. But still, like, what's the benefit to me? What's the benefit? What's the reward? Do I get money for that? Do I get any other benefits for that? Like, what are the positive consequences? So showing people up front, here's why you need to change. Here's why you need to speak Spanish. Here's why you need to take a new instrument. Here's why you need to be in this new group, right? And seeing the capabilities, seeing it with clarity, and having these positive consequences. So without clear and concrete target behaviors, people don't move. I just don't want to. I'm good at doing what I'm used to doing. You know what? I'm going to go to a different company. It's just easier that way. And then finally having something called the failure finish. The failure finish is, again, why does it fizzle out? It really comes down to one thing. It comes down to we're not rewarding people for trying. I want people to try. I want people to feel like they can succeed. I want people to be there. And you know what? I know you it didn't work out. You were trying to be more helpful, customer friendly to these other customers, and they just shrugged you off. No, I'm going to reward you for that because you tried. And again, what gets rewarded gets repeated. And so that's the last line down here. Whatever we do, whatever gets rewarded gets repeated. And that's a benefit. So the more that we can reward people, people will continue to do their thing. Even if they try and they fail, because at least they tried. All right. Let's talk about having a champion, a change champion, which is a change agent, a person near you. We can call those people influencers. Right? There's that term again. So it's somebody who's around you, who motivates you to want to change. Somebody who says, you know, you did a really good job trying. You did a really great job succeeding. And it makes you want to be there. And then a dashboard, having something that says, you know, we've had all these different people trying to do the new change. It's working. Maybe it's losing weight. We've had 15 employees lose 5 pounds or more in the last week. That's great. And we see that and it motivates people. Let me give you a more relevant example. On Sunday, I belong to Emmanuel Church. On Sunday, our pastor said, even in the craziness of 2020, we've had 964 people come to Christ. Now, why would he say that? Because I'm thinking, oh, well, my friend could be 965. No. He's saying that because it's a dashboard. It's a benchmark. Look at what you have done just by tithing, just by donating, just by bringing your friends. 960, almost 1,000 people for this year, as crazy as this year has been. And that's a benchmark. That's a dashboard. It sees here's the line in the road. This is what we're capable of doing, even in adversity. And so they're doing it. Again, a reason why we're starting this journey, a reason why we're doing this video. Okay. Last line, if you don't get 70% of people seeing, moving, and fighting to the finish, change won't stick. It'll fail. So you can see how Cotter's 8 laws and 8 rules kind of change and morph into this. You see a lot of the same things. Here are the influencers. Here's the clear vision. Here's the emotion tied to it. Here's all this stuff. And then finally, here's the completion. We want people to hear the stories, keep the change going, make it stick, change the organization. Not much different, but still the same thing. But I think this chart makes a lot of sense. Here's the problem. Here's why we don't want to change. All right. Number 3, Joseph Rennie, by book name, Influencer. And here's the same thing. We need to have influencers. This one's much easier to understand, I think, than all of them. Says first, you need to have a clear vision, clarity, right? Second, you need a sense of urgency. Talked about that. Make it emotional, not thought-based. Talked about that. Communicate with stories. He actually says, go one step further and make the vision clear, extremely clear. So very detailed, SMART goals, right? Saying, here's where we need to go. We're going to eliminate childhood hunger by October 10th at 9 a.m. Right? Making it exactly to that point, whatever that might be. We're going to create an automated artificial intelligence robot helper for every family that can help clean by December 28th at noon. Something like that, something that's a new vision that helps draw people in, because not only does it give you a clear vision, it gives you a deadline. Here's when we need to finish and get that done. And then find the influencers in the organization to help be that guiding team. Create the right environment for change. Okay, so here's the big thing here. Granny actually comes up with this model that works quite well, surprisingly. Something I wouldn't have thought of doing, and I think a lot of people are surprised. And when we try it, it actually works really well. And here's what it looks like. If you had a 3x2 chart, he says, in the one column you have motivation, and in the second column you have ability. Here on the rows you have, on the left, you have personal, which is you, Social, which is you and others, and then structural, that's the organization, that's the culture, that's the way the organization runs, works. So personal motivation is this something that you want to do or not? And when you do it, here's the reason to do it. So you want to lose weight. Second, personal, the ability is, can you lose weight? Do you have a medical condition that prevents you from doing it? Do you have access to the right things, the right foods? Do you have the ability to exercise? Can you walk? Can you run? Can you jog? Can you do whatever needs to be done? Can you noom? Whatever noom is now, right? The ability to do so is not the same as the motivation. Now, here's the problem. Often when we talk about persuading people to change, here's why you need the new vision. We do this, and there are 5 other boxes we don't touch, right? Their philosophy is that if you can do 3 of these, change is almost guaranteed, right? That's, I guess, where it needs to be seen. That's part of their spiel. But if you can motivate people to do something and improve it, do they have the ability to? Are they in the right position? Do they have the right resources? Social, do you have other people encouraging you to do the right thing? Losing weight, do you have people that exercise with you? Do you want them to help you? Do your friends go out drinking every night? And you're like, oh yeah, he's my friends, I'm gonna go hang out with him. Right? Well, that's probably not good for your diet. Right? So here's the idea of encouraging. Now on the other side, the ability, can people provide help for you? Can they provide that stability? Will they go with you when you exercise? Will they go to the gym? Will you work together on recipes and recipe exchange and trying new things and both sign up for a service and whatever it is? Right? Think Nutrisystem or Weight Watchers or something, people who go with you, right? To get there. This is the social ability. Do the people around you have the ability to do that? Finally, structural is the culture, the environment. So whether the environment encourages the right behaviors. Are you in an environment where you can exercise? Are you in an environment where people talk about health? Or if you work at a restaurant that doesn't, is that bad? And are you prone to snacking there? Finally, whether the environment supports the right behaviors. So does it support the right, do you get rewarded for doing the right thing, for losing weight? Right? That's the culture, that's the structure. And so let's take a different example. Let's take mowing your lawn. You got lucky, you have a house, 1,500 square foot. It's up to you, it's your house, it's on a 1/3 of an acre property, except you have to mow your own lawn. You know what? Your lawn hasn't been mowed in a long time. Now, I know it's getting cold to this time of the year, but let's say your grass is almost a foot tall. You probably need to mow. The HOA is a little concerned. Your neighbors are a little concerned. The rumor's starting that maybe you died in your house, right? The grass is just getting too tall. Do you want to do it? Do you have the desire to mow your lawn? If you don't, if you're lazy, you don't want to, you know, I'll just do it later. That's fine, right? Versus you have the desire to do it. Now, no, the pressure coming from the HOA, the pressure coming from your neighbors, the pressure is peer pressure coming in saying you need to mow your lawn. That can motivate you to the point where, yeah, I think I will. Now, second, can you do it? Can you mow your lawn? I mean, do you have a mower? Can you walk? Right? Do you have fuel to run the mower? But what's the ability? Can you do it? Is it physically possible to mow your lawn? Do you have something, a riding lawnmower that would work for a 1/3 of an acre property? Like, what is the case? What's going on? If you have the ability to mow your lawn. Socially, do other people encourage the behavior? Yeah, the HOA is kind of big on that. Your neighbors are kind of big on that. We want you to mow your lawn. You've gotten a couple of nasty notes now in your mailbox that it's, your yard is unsightly, right? That's kind of that motivation, although be it coercion, negative consequences. Negative consequences also are, if you don't mow your lawn, the HOA is going to fine you $150. That is a negative consequence. The ability, do people provide information and help you? Hey, do you need a mower? I can run one to you if you want. Is there a problem with your mower? Or better yet, if you don't want to do it, you don't have the motivation, here's a mowing service, a landscaping service. They're only $25. And you know what? The first time is free as long as I recommend you because I'm a member. So why don't we do that? And so they have the ability, hey, we're going to provide information and help you. So we'll help somebody help you where you're on. Structurally, does the environment encourage the right behavior? Well, it's a lot of pretty lawns in one neighborhood. Probably should mow it, right? There's that culture there, there's that structure. Probably should happen. Seeing dandelions everywhere in the lawn, could I do something? And then finally, does the environment support the right behaviors? Does your lawnmower even work? With the stuff that you have, does it even work? If not, do you need to borrow something from someone else? I mean, short of going to Menards and buying a site for your front yard, can you mow your lawn? Does that environment, does that culture help you do that? Give you the ability, not just the motivation? So this is what's called the influencer. So look for those influencers, that guiding team, that clear vision, that sense of urgency, etc. And if you put yourself into here, you kind of get a feel for what's right, what works. Motivation, make what's undesirable desirable. I want to make something that's worthwhile. I want to mow my lawn. I want to lose weight. I don't really want to lose weight, but I will lose weight. And I thought about, like I said, on Monday, I thought about having you do like a week-long assessment journal on how you are and the goal that you want to achieve. Right? So I want to talk more. I want to listen more. I want to lose weight. I want to whatever, read more, whatever that is, drive less. Your ability, can you surpass your limits? Can you get beyond to where you are right now? Harness peer pressure and finding strength in numbers, people helping you in that. Is it something that you're comfortable sharing with other people? And then finally, design rewards and demand accountability. Can you get rewarded for mowing your lawn? Can you get rewarded for losing weight? Can you get rewarded for reading more? Can you get rewarded in those ways? Right? The library is good at this. If you read so many books, you get a reward. You get a free thing, or you get some extra membership, or you get a free book when they sell those. Change the environment. And how do you change the culture so that I'm now have the ability to make this change that I want? Okay. You guys still with me? I've got 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes to cover this last thing. Last one's called color planets. And this one makes total sense. This one really, I think, drives it home. Like it really makes, it's very clear. Culture makes a big difference on whether you can change people or not. And so they call it, De Callaway and Vermaak are two researchers in the Netherlands. And they describe that there's 5 planets out there, culture. And do you fit into one of these planets? And you probably recognize this, right, based on your environment. The yellow planet, the yellow thinking, or yellow print is the way they put it, is socio-political. It's power. Authority means a lot. Title means a lot. The people at the top make the decisions for other people that are not at the top. It's not the meetings, it's the meetings between the meetings in the parking lot. Right? So those people who are negotiating and talking and coming up with plans, that's what's important. Have you ever been in a political environment like this, where it's about power, and it's about decision-making and authority and the people that make those decisions? Okay. Blue planet is about data, structure. It's about, here are all these plans that we can do. What's the greatest return on investment? It's about the data. Let's decide on a plan, and when we decide on a plan, this is what we're going to do, and it's the best plan for us because it's got the best investment. Show me the graph, show me the data, show me the numbers. Now imagine taking somebody from a blue planet and putting them in a yellow planet. What's that going to look like? Socio-political and power and authority, the boss changes his or her mind, and then suddenly, but that's not what the data shows. Well, it doesn't matter if the data shows the boss changed his or her mind. This is what we're going to do. And then slowly, the people in the yellow group are trying to push the people in the blue group out because they're focused too much on data, not about what's best for us. Now, the red planet people come up and they say, well, it's about skills. It's about your skill, your abilities, conceptual, technical, and sociability. It's about having the right people on the seats in the bus, making sure you have the right people doing the right jobs, right? And then the green people are about the learning organization. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn what our limits are when we have our green planet, when we have our failures. How do we get ourselves to be better? Peter Senge and a gentleman, Peter Senge and something called the fifth discipline, systems thinking. We're all part of a giant organism, working together, becoming better, becoming worse, etc. We're all learning. So it's okay to fail. And then the philosophical white planet are people that say, let's just leave things as they are, laissez-faire leadership, let's not do anything. And then let's just take chemicals and pour them together and see what happens. Kind of this consultant approach. Let's just change one thing and see what happens. And that could be part of the learning organization, it could be part of the red organization, it could be part of it, et cetera. And so what's challenging is when you have a skill or you have an organization that fits in these different groups, it makes sense. You're a red person in a red planet. But when you're not, when you're a blue person in a red planet, it doesn't work. And you feel uncomfortable, you actually feel anxious. This is not the culture I grew up in. When I worked in Bell Labs as an engineer, I lived in a very yellow planet situation. My boss said whatever went, and whatever he said went. That's what we did. And so even though it seemed crazy at the time, right? Very political oriented. And Franklin College is which planet? Is Franklin College yellow? About the authority? Not really. Where's Franklin College? Green. It's okay to fail as long as we pick ourselves up and learn from there. Kind of. It's part of the academic perspective. We're very much a red place, red plant. We believe a lot in people and the skills that they have. It's about the value of the relationship between the students and the faculty. And the students we have are awesome. The students who come here on average are B students, but boy, do they thrive in this environment. As long as you can get the students to find themselves and discover how they learn, discover what they are amazing. And so we're very much a red planet, but then we have green elements to it too, and we have white elements to it too. Sometimes we just try things and see what happens and see how things work, like travel abroad. Let's just try it. Let's see how people, get 4 students and a faculty member together and travel part of another country for 3 weeks. What's that like? I mean, I had somebody tell me that their travel abroad, their extra, immersive term experience was going to Disney World for 21 days. Can you imagine going to Disney World for 21 days? You know where every trash can and every recycling container is, every bathroom. So I said, did you like it? And she said, absolutely not. It was horrible. Disney World should be magical. You go only for a few days at a time. But here's the thing, when it comes to change, it's no wonder it's hard to change because you're in a different culture than what you're used to. What you value is different than what other people value. And so when you try to change other people, it's not working. Well, why not? Well, this is part of the reason why. The culture just doesn't match. It doesn't work. And what most people do, especially when they go from other country to country or different organization to organization, they leave. I don't fit here. These don't match my values. I'm not really happy here. And so this is part of the problem with change. And that is all I have. That is the 4 different methods of change. And I am out of time. So that's a lot of change management. But a lot of it you can see is kind of how they overlap one another, that they're there and influence. Now, can you change somebody else? Can you change another organization? We will figure that out on Friday. On Friday, we will meet on Zoom. So we will not be here in the classroom. You still have your exam that is due by Friday evening. There is no quiz or discussion forum for the week. And I think that's it. Take care, everybody. Those of you online, good to see you. Thank you much. Let me know if you have an email. Let me know if you have a question. Send me an email.